All right, well, let's just get started. Come on up. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Career Lab by Coach360. I'm so excited to be here with these incredible panelists. We'll take a seat and we'll get started momentarily. Oh. How is everyone? Pumped up? I'm not as exciting as what you just experienced. I wish I was. But I am surrounded by three incredible leaders that are going to fire you up and really give you the expertise, not just from a high level, but from sort of the nitty-gritty, what they've really done in their careers to build long-term pathways, right? We all want to have this job forever and ever and ever. So I'm going to begin introducing each of them a little bit high level and then let them kind of get into a little bit more about who they are. So to my left, I think you've been introduced 8 times already. You must have some longevity in the industry if every time a speaker comes up, they're like, David, he got me into this industry. David. So David is currently someone I see at a lot of conferences because he works in sort of the developing relationships within our industry for NASM and really has the pulse on what he's seen in the industry from a club owner's perspective, as well as independent studios and club owners. As you know, certification is that foundation. It's what really keeps us employable and knowledgeable and really sets the standard for our industry. So that's just a little bit about what David does currently. I'm going to let him introduce himself a little further. Oh, you're not?
Yeah. All right. Can everybody hear me? So what Tricia just described there is a very indirect way of saying you're really old in this industry. In September, it'll be my 30th year in the fitness industry. Raise your hand if you're under 30 years old. Exactly. These are the moments where I sit back and reflect on the fact that, yes, I have been in this industry for a long period of time. My name is David Van Daff. Most people in the fitness industry know me as DVD. A lot of people don't even know that my name is David, nor my last name is Van Daff. I am the Vice President of Industry Development and Public Affairs for the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Half of my career was spent in the operator space. I ran personal training, fitness operations, and a whole host of things for Bally Total Fitness. Those of you under 30 may not remember Bally Total Fitness, but at one point it was the largest, yes, I like that, the largest health club chain in the world. And that's where I started into this industry, worked closely with all the education institutions, certification organizations over that period of time, eventually left, went to NASM, where I worked for 5 years with some of you in this room. Left, was a part of a startup. As you hear a lot of people get up, like Mark Rodriguez and Kathleen Ferguson and a host of others, Tricia, in fact, that started their own business and became an entrepreneur. I had 5 years where I was capable of doing that and started a business together. After that period of time, came back into NASM and haven't left since. Yep.
Has a 20-year-old son here.
21-year-old son in the back who will love the fact that I'm introducing him, who was just starting. And one of the things that you're going to hear a lot of over the course of time in this session, as well as other sessions, in terms of how to make yourself noticeable, how to build a career, how to, like, I love what Mark did, was go through and talk about what your goal is. Like, everybody should have a goal who's a coach right now that just goes beyond, I'd like to have 20 clients and earn a certain amount of money. But every coach has dreams and aspirations and a pathway that they would love to follow. And that's why these conferences are so important. This is why, I always jump at the opportunity to come to these, because after 30 years in the fitness industry, I've seen people achieve great success. I've seen other people that have gone through a certain level of burnout or frustration and turned to something that isn't their passion and their dream. But what you will learn from a conference like this is that everything that you ultimately want in your career, there's somebody in this room that has either achieved it or know a whole heck of a lot of people who have achieved it. So these are some of the greatest conferences that we have within our industry. And please take advantage, soak it all in, listen, ask questions, find people that are doing it out there and develop that network and grow.
I'm going to just briefly talk about Pamela because her role right now is so important in our industry. How many of you, do any of you work at Crunch currently? Crunch? Anyone? Oh, lots of opportunity in front of you. Pamela has a very specific job for Crunch, and she's really in the business of helping people love what they do and helping employees work together. And believe it or not, it's a really important role, but it's also so admirable of a brand to focus and effort into that. So I'm going to have you tell a little bit more about yourself, but in a nutshell, we're just really lucky to have you because what you're doing right now is so important to this audience, and that you can really help them see where they could go.
Thank you so much. So my name is Pamela J. Brown, and I'm giving you the J because that's how you can find me on LinkedIn. And I invite everyone here to connect with me. I am the EVP and head of people and culture for Crunch Fitness. And the fact that we don't have any crunchers in the room means there's a world of opportunity, and I would love to connect with you. So a little bit more about myself. I have had a 30-year career in people and culture. It started in financial services, moved to insurance, and I am very young in the fitness industry, only almost 4 years in. And I would say that I also have a 21-year-old son and a 19-year-old daughter, and I learned recently that my nephew just became a NASM-trained certified personal trainer. So I'm very happy to be here, and I welcome you. And I'd love to share a little bit as well about my own fitness journey. So when I came to work at Crunch, I weighed 220 pounds, and I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without being out of breath. And I was a little bit nervous to work in the fitness industry as somebody very heavy, had not been successful at other gyms, missed my goals, but I kept trying. I knew I needed to fit FO. So I went into, I knew I needed to be in the gyms if I was going to be in people and culture. Can't just sit in the ivory tower. So I started working out with a personal trainer. And my personal trainer gave me lessons about the business every single day. And really my goal was to learn about the business initially. And I started to enjoy working out. I enjoyed the community around me. So 1 day a week became 2 days a week. 2 days a week became 3 days a week. 3 days a week became 4. Then I went to visit my son at college, and I walked 2 miles just on a stroll and realized I wasn't out of breath. Suddenly, I was ready to start trying to lift weights. And 60 pounds later, here I am. Thank you so much.
That's an incredible story, and it's so nice in your role, especially to have that personal experience, because really drawing in clients for that brand, you have such a different perspective, and it's so warm and wonderful and authentic, right? Instead of somebody who's been in it all their lives, right? So incredible. Last but not least, Erin and I have worked together for a long time in different roles. I've hired her to teach at events and watched her podcasts, listened to her in education. She's done so many things. And one of the exciting parts about having Erin on this panel is she has found her own way. So as soon as she seemingly gets comfortable, she tries something new. And I can honestly say that Erin will be in the fitness industry for a long time, but she also has a high level of education, has worked in collegiate environments, and I don't know. So you got to tell them a little bit more about all the things that you do.
Okay. No, we're just gonna pass it. All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Tricia. That's a very nice way of saying that I've done a lot, and it really just means I'm a giant nerd, and I continue to study and I continue to grow, and I found my love in higher education. But before that, I've been a certified personal trainer and certified health coach for 23 years. So this is honestly the first time I've actually felt like one of the younger panel members. So I'm kind of excited about that as I hear you talk about 30 years. So I have worked in the industry. I have trained clients. I still have clients that I train. I own my own business. But more than that, I am on the side of teaching and developing curriculum. So higher education is the place that I am right now. I am currently a dean in higher education, and I oversee curriculum development. So I found a love there simply because there's this moment where like the light bulb goes off for your students, and you know that they've found passion and excitement in the industry, and that you've had the opportunity to mentor them moving forward. And so that is currently where I'm at now. But as Tricia said, I have kind of found my own way. And I think one of the things that continues to drive me is not just being a nerd and studying things and trying to learn new topics and ways to challenge myself and grow, but it's also challenging myself in new ways. So even though I've been in higher education for quite a while, I still go out on a limb and try to stretch myself. Like, it's basically a way of saying never stop learning. And it's a way to, like you mentioned, the podcast. I never imagined I would be a podcast host. And it started out as this joke over a conversation with another industry friend about, it's too bad this conversation isn't on a podcast. And now we have a podcast, Fit and Flustered. You should check it out. But anyway, so it's just trying new things that challenge you in unique ways, that force you out of your comfort zone. Because if you've been in an industry for a very long time, I think it's easy to get complacent. You know, it's easy to kind of get comfortable and think, okay, I've kind of like reached where I'm at, and I don't really want to go beyond that. But that's not what it's about, because we're in an industry that is constantly changing. It is ever dynamic. It is constantly new discoveries. So you have to stay abreast of those things. And I think one of the best ways to do that is jump into something new. Like maybe you suck in the beginning. It's kind of like what Mark was telling us, right? Like if you suck, you suck. But it's great to suck at something new and then to continue to try to grow and get better as you go. And believe me, in 23 years, I've made all the mistakes. I've done all the dumb shit. Trust me. So I've been there. I get it. I understand. But it doesn't stop me from continuing to try and to stretch and to make those mistakes and to then learn from them.
Okay, I'm going to start with you. So the first question I'm going to start with is, what was sort of the first moment you understood the word of trustworthy as a fitness professional? Like, when you think back to the beginning of your career, how did you know you were building a trustworthy relationship in what you were doing?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful question. And I think for me, it was a mindset shift. Instead of coming at it from, what do I have to teach this person? It's coming at it more from the angle of, what do I need to understand before I say something? And I think trust, if we think about trust as an account, right, we have to continue to put deposits into it. And that builds over time. And so for me, it was that mindset shift of, yes, I might have, as you said, education and certifications and experience, but that doesn't mean that's the place I need to start, is teaching people. It's more about understanding the person in front of me, so that then I know how best to communicate with them and meet them where they're at. And I think for me, it was that moment of, oh, it isn't about what I have to say. It's about what I need to understand.
Wow. I could just drop the mic on that answer. That's actually I didn't know she was going there with that answer, but I actually love that. You're saying listening is almost more important than anything else. I'm going to jump over to you, then I'll have you hand it off.
So I think early in my career, I was very authentic. Hopefully I've carried that through to today. And I think that I learned early on, you have to give trust to get trust. So I would look at the leaders and peers around me, and I would start with the thought of good intent. So I stayed away from gossip, and if somebody came to me, even if it was something hard, if you come from the attitude of good intent and the assumption of good intent, then in your giving trust, the trust comes back to you.
These are all excellent points. going back early on in my career when personal training was just coming into health clubs, just coming in from a mainstream perspective, it was more about give me a program that's going to help me achieve my goals, spot and cue, and coach me throughout. That quickly evolved to the point that we're in now. Ultimately, all of our clients, our potential clients, can find a million different workouts on the internet using AI, through social media, etc. They don't need you as a professional to design a workout. They're capable of finding that on their own. So why are they coming to you? And what is the process in terms of developing the relationship to where that person wants to begin training and going on their fitness journey with you? It starts with relationship development. It involves competency. I like a lot of the things that both Pamela and Erin brought up, but there's a certain level of trust. And so when it comes to trust, think about this as a professional. Yes, it's important for you to know your trade. Yes, it's important to consistently evolve and develop and pursue advanced specializations and gain better understanding of the research that's out there and the programming that's going to be most effective. But part of trust is also being able to answer questions that you know and also defer on questions that you don't know. And I'm going to give you an example because this happens to a lot of fitness professionals. Somebody comes forth and asks you about GLP-1s or something that they saw on Instagram that somebody is doing, and so, or some research that was sent from their cousin that they wanted you to find out and weigh in on. And as a professional, your responsibility is to say, I don't know enough about that, but let me do a little research. We're meeting again on Thursday. I'll have some answers for you, or I'll shoot you a note afterwards. Part of trust is understanding the fact that you're not going to know everything and being able to come back to somebody. And your clients will appreciate that more so than that doesn't make any sense, or I know about that, and try and answer as a professional.
Wow, those were all really, really good. And I think that at the base of this conversation is really that a lot of you have skills. A lot of you know how to train clients. A lot of you know how to do all these things. That's your skill set, right? Your mindset and your business development skills are a whole other thing, right? So skill set is number one, and all these other things kind of come into place, and that's how you find that natural career pathway. I want to talk just a little bit about systems in companies versus independent growth. So you two are really good people to ask these questions of. At Crunch, they tell you what their system for growth is. And I think that that's a really unusual thing to see, but how nice as a trainer for you to know what your ability is to grow right off the get-go. I'd just like to hear a little bit about how you guys judge or allow people to move into a growth role at Crunch.
Thank you so much. So our values are inclusive, fun, and authentic. We're the no limits, no judgments gym, and we say that up front. For personal trainers, we've got pathways either to from newly certified trainer to master trainer. And then in group fitness, many different levels. And what it takes to get there are really the skills that build trust. So the first one that comes to mind is connection. Connection and community are very important at Crunch. So if in your day-to-day, you're bringing value to your client, to the members, to your clients, and you're connecting with them and connecting them to the larger community, that's going to be a signal. Of course, there's expertise as well, and we have certifications, and we love to see people to continue to grow, and they can get to different levels through those pathways. And it's also just about the skills of emotional intelligence and connection. And I'll give you one quick story, which is my first conversation with my own trainer was I asked him what was the hardest part of his job. And he actually told me that it was adjusting himself to clients and the energy that they bring, because we can't treat every single client the same. And it just made me laugh because I feel like that's probably the hardest part of my job too.
Wow, I love that about adjusting to the energy, right? And I think when it comes to being like the solopreneur and building your own business, it's a little bit more difficult, right? Like you don't have like this built-in system like Crunch has. And I think it's really important, like get in touch with the values that you have and how you build a system around those values. That's part of trust, right? Is not just having a set of values, but then also living and working by those values and allowing those values to like build your own path forward. So whatever values that are germane to you and unique to you, that's where your system comes from. But I also think, as at least something from my own experience, building a system for myself, being a solopreneur, owning my own business, and not being in a place like Crunch or something like that, for me, mentorship was the biggest piece of it. Is like there is something so magical and so powerful. And look around this room, like any one of you can be a mentor to the person sitting next to you. Any of us can be a mentor to you, regardless of whether you are just starting a business or maybe you're on the cusp of maybe growing your business or scaling it or something like that. But I think one of the most powerful ways to develop your own system is having that mentor piece and not being afraid to ask that question of, okay, I've got this. How do I navigate it? How do I build from here? Because you won't be as successful if you just do it in a silo, right? Like this, again, connection and community is also important, whether you are in an actual organization or you are building it yourself. Like I always feel that more minds are better than one. And I think leaning into that mentorship piece and just asking somebody else for that help, I think is the best way to ladder up and to grow yourself successfully as an individual and as a business owner.
And I was just going to have you kind of follow up on how NASM has, I mean, you guys have been at the forefront of talking about mentorship for a very long time. How, as an organization, do you sort of support that piece of a trainer's journey?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's take a step back on that from what that stage of mentorship looks like, and agree with Erin, everything that Erin just stated. As a fitness professional, building a foundation of education is going to be something that you will never regret. Pursuing a pathway that fits for you and pushing yourself to become a trusted professional is the number one thing you can do. There are a lot of different options, especially in the United States, where there's not heavy regulations on the personal training profession. I've said it from the beginning of my career, and I continue to say it now. Go find the pathway that makes the most sense. Don't go the cheap and easy. Go after what's going to help prepare you to hit the ground running or develop your business to the way it is. That could be a certification pathway. It could be the university pathway. It could be what Mark is doing with Manifest in Texas is unbelievable, which is combining that practical component along with the certification. All of those things are critically important. The other thing from an education and a competency perspective is just don't stop. Like we talked about, where this profession is today compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago is night and day different. The client expectations continue to grow. You're dealing with all kinds of different demographics, modalities. Now we've got weight loss medications that are playing a huge role within our business, but people expect more from their fitness professionals, and it's our responsibility to continue to grow and develop that. I'll conclude with the mentorship element. What we try and do as an organization is highlight as many great professionals as we can doing wonderful things out in the industry. In fact, I had a conversation, where's Tay Hall? Tay out in there, who's an NASM professional, and just an example of starting her own business and developing all kinds of corporate wellness programs and finding her niche and her pathway that's going to make the most sense in terms of developing that level of fulfillment that Mark had talked about. But we try and find these people that go from beginning personal trainer to opening their own gym. Find people that are developing a business from an online perspective, or start working with athletes and celebrities, people that go the pathway that develop beyond and go become athletic trainers or physical therapists, etc. So we try and create these models to give people perspective in terms of where this career can go. But, and I promise I won't be too long with it, When you're going into a club for the first time, when you're working independently, let's say, go find the people that are achieving success. Ask questions, look around, find out what excellence looks like in your work environment. Work with these people, talk to them. Everybody in our industry is very, very forthcoming in terms of their personal development and how they've gotten to where they need to be. But look at how members react when they train with them. Look at people around the gym when they're training people and find those things that are going to help you develop. One of the most impactful things that's happening in our industry right now is that people are starting into the industry, working in a big box or an independent gym location, whatever it may be. There's not a lot of prospecting hours. There's not a lot of onboarding, not a lot of development, and there's frustration that can develop very, very quickly. Overcome that frustration by finding people that are doing it well. And I'm going to wrap by saying this. In this room today, one of the great pleasures that I have is I can look around and I can see people that I know from many years back in some cases 5 to 10 years ago, not so far back, but have grown their career to where when I knew them, they were working, let's say, in a corporate capacity or independently as a professional, and now have developed their own business or gone on to evolve their career to really achieving that level of fulfillment, once again, that Mark had talked about. So looking over at Rebecca Garrity, and her and I go back 20 years, Kathleen Ferguson, the same type of thing. Tricia, for example, Mark, as we discussed, Dr. John in the back. These are all people that have gone after that goal over that course of time, found mentors, found steps of development to get them where they need to be, and then grown from there. So the sky is the limit within our industry. Pursue that foundational education, continue to evolve it, find the mentors throughout, and then continue to ask questions, develop, and grow.
Amen. I also think it's really important to mentor, right? To be open to supporting and mentoring others, even if you're young in your career, right? Even if you've got, just a few years under your belt, or maybe you're brand new in the industry, who is it that you could mentor? It may not be another fitness pro, but it may be somebody else along the way, right? So becoming a mentor, you give as much as you get. And that's an old saying, but man, it's so true in this industry. So I was also going to ask for all of you in this room, I know a lot of you have, social media to compete with, right? You've got trainers out there on social media, and you're sort of feeling that sense of competition in some way. And how can we help them overcome the conversation of quality and it's not that, by the way, half the trainers out there are amazing on social media. I never like for people to say, oh, those trainers on social media. A, I do it. B, there's a lot of really talented, brilliant people on social media. But how do you overcome the idea that they're pushing out information to the world and you have to talk to them one-on-one? What do you guys suggest for building trust with clients in this sort of new era of media?
So we actually embrace social media. So we have Crunch Careers on Instagram, and Crunch People Leader is my Instagram. And we have Trainer Tuesdays, and we also are giving lessons to our trainers and encouraging them to build their own brands. So that is how we are embracing social media, and I'd love to expand what we're doing with photos to videos. So hopefully that's coming soon as well.
I love social media, especially within our profession. And when you peel back a layer and you look once again in terms of what you're providing as a fitness professional, they're not coming to you because they need an answer to a particular question or a particular workout that's going to appeal to them. They're coming to you because they need a partner on the journey in order to be able to achieve the goals. Majority of people that are coming to you as a potential client have tried numerous things in the past, have belonged to other clubs, potentially worked with other fitness professionals, tried a variety of different diets, did a whole bunch of things on social media. It did not get them to where they needed to be. So you develop that relationship, you develop that layer of trust. It becomes more than just a, give me an answer to this question, or tell me the latest GLP-1, or give me more information on peptides, et cetera, et cetera. It's a, hey, it's you and me. We're going to work together for the next 2 to 3 months. This is going to be our schedule. This is what you're going to be doing when you're not with me. Here are the goals that we're pursuing and we're going after, and we're doing it together. That's what people are looking for. That's what they want. Allow them to go into social media, become aware of the personalities, come up with questions that they may have for you, but they're coming to you for something far more than just the latest diet, the latest workout, the latest fad.
And I'm going to give you another question. How do you now put yourself out there on social media in a way that feels authentic to you? And how do you navigate, or overcome trying to be different? How do you kind of personally work through that?
Great question. I think one of the biggest downfalls is, as humans, I think we tend to get into that comparison trap, right? How many of you feel that when you go on social media or you're trying to build something, you're like, well, I'm never going to be X, or I'm never going to be like this person. That isn't the point. It's 100% not the point, because as DVD said, people are coming to you for that partnership, that journey, and a way to go out on social media and is to really share who you are. It's kind of like how Pam started out this panel talking about her personal journey. People connect with personal journeys, right? You all have a story to share. So start by sharing that story, and then talk about the values that you live and work by. People connect with those things. People also, your potential clients, want to see a relatability to you as the professional. You might be the one that's got the certification, that's got the education, that's got the experience, that's got the knowledge. That isn't necessarily why they're coming to you. They're coming to you because they feel that they can connect with you. It's an energy thing. Any empaths in the room can sense energies of people? I was going to say probably the majority of you, yes. So they're coming to you because they feel a connection. And that is, from that point, that's the foundation of it all. So get out there, share your story, do it scared. It's okay if your lighting's not perfect or you're not in the right environment. Like, the whole point is to show up as who you are in real life, because that's what they're going to get when you're coaching them. Right? They're not going to, you don't need to be the highlight reel all the time, or even any of the time. Like, if that's your thing and you want to do that, that's great. No hate either way. But if you really want to get out there, just share your story. Start with who you are. Start with the authentic journey that you took to get to the place that you're at now. People will connect with that. They will hang on to that. So share that message and share your values.
I'm going to jump now to sort of the financial piece, which is, I feel like anybody who shows up to a career lab like this is probably right away a more trustworthy professional than a lot, because you care so deeply, right? If you care to show up and be in the room, you actually deeply believe